Welcome back to the Gut Shot podcast with me, Chuang, and Sam. Today we
Hi.
welcome geopolitical and political analyst Jason Leong.
Hi.
We've got something very interesting because I believe it is the first time a sitting US president is visiting Malaysia. And he arrives on our shores on Sunday, which is, I think, 2 days from now. Reading between the tea leaves, it seems interesting because until now, Southeast Asia has been kind of like relegated in some sense to the back of their mind where the US government is concerned. Reading between the tea leaves, Jason, gentlemen, Sam, what are we to make of Donald Trump's decision to come to this part of the world?
Jason,
Sure.
please.
I think this is definitely a good news for at least for ASEAN, because if you have, would have noticed that when the very beginning of the Trump presidency 2.0, he did not even mention ASEAN. I mean, who were the people whom he called actually in Southeast Asia? He called the Vietnam PM, he called Philippines, and he called Prabowo, Indonesia. Those were the three people. As far as is concerned, these are the three main leaders of Southeast Asia. And then they spoke about many things. And PMX did not get a call. Neither did Malaysia manage to get a call through as well. And of course, it has taken some time, but better late than never. At least now, officially, Trump recognizes the role of ASEAN. So he's attending the ASEAN Summit officially, in his official capacity. And if you remember the days before him, way back, Obama thought that it was very convenient to leave out Southeast Asia or Asia, and then suddenly he changed his mind. He said, pivot. He was trying to do the pivot into Asia, and it was like there was really no coherent policy in terms of Southeast Asia as far as America is concerned. Yeah, they have an Asia policy, but Southeast Asia was kind of like abandoned. It's too small to matter, despite the fact that a lot of people talk about ASEAN being we are supposed to be a big influencer in terms of we have 600 million people in ASEAN, and ASEAN is supposed to be, we talk about ASEAN centrality and many other things. But in the other part of the world where the geopolitics and the big guys are concerned, ASEAN seem to be actually fairly inconsequential.
Can I add to that point? Then,
Sure.
actually, I like your word. You end up with the word inconsequential. I think we living in our bubble here in ASEAN does not seem to realize that we are actually inconsequential. Okay? That's my personal opinion. The truth is, we have to make ourselves consequential. The only way you can make yourself consequential is actually to have the economic power, the true economic power that we do not have. Okay? And that needs to happen first. I think more than anything, this trip to ASEAN is not really to redirect the focus. It's basically, if I read the tea leaves, right, to me, it's whether how are they going to take advantage of the situation in South Korea and vis-a-vis China. So the ASEAN Summit is a platform they're going to do that, and the APEC in South Korea. Okay? So the question then actually is more to us. What do we do to make ourselves relevant? Because, remember, where was the first trip that Trump made? It's to the Gulf countries.
Yes.
Right? So he knows his priority. The problem is, if you ask me, what you put there is right, which is we are inconsequential and we don't know how to make ourselves a consequence.
What about the two other possibilities? The fact that Malaysia, location in Southeast Asia, I think contains at least two waterways which are critical to trade between Asia and Europe in the form of the South China Sea, where obviously part of that falls into the 9-dash line, and that of course is a territory that is disputed and claimed by China, but and has been making inroads, of course, by way of occupying islands. That's the first one. The second one being the Straits of Malacca, right? But until the craft isthmus is manufactured in some sense, the Straits of Malacca are critical, and of course both waterways belong to Malaysia.
Yes.
So we are lucky by way of pure luck and geography that we are critical to global trade. I think that's the first one. The second one is possibly the fact that we are part of the semiconductor value chain, and if chips are the future of America by way of AI, we do play a critical role because we supply to the big players. What do you make of that?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, this is certainly very relevant because, as you know, with all the trade deals and the trade war going around, everything can be weaponized.
Exactly.
So whether it is waterways, whether it is a new path through, I mean, even Thailand was trying to do the cross
craft
road
isthmus,
bridge
right?
thingy,
Yeah.
but I don't think they have the money, and it doesn't make sense to do that as well. So the Straits of Malacca, and I think many people probably have not thought about the fact that Malaysia-US cooperation in terms of intelligence is actually quite extensive because we share a lot of intelligence with the US even from the days of old and even up to now. And in terms of, if you look at the military diplomacy that happens, not only in Singapore, each time we will see some of those aircraft carriers coming in to visit Singapore, but there was one also that was recently quite near our cruise terminal in Klang. And there are many others. Plus the negotiations for all kinds of military equipment and acquisition of aircraft, whether it's a multi-role aircraft that we are looking at, and all sort of things. So these Malaysian companies, I mean American companies in Malaysia and in ASEAN, they are actually quite substantial companies around. And even in Malaysia especially, we are probably one of those with pretty high concentration of American companies are here.
I mean, look at Intel, right? Intel has been in northern Malaysia for, 50 years? I mean, Penang's where I'm from. Obviously
since the time when Andy Grove was a nobody,
that's right.
when he landed there.
And the thing is now the US government owns 10% in Intel, which they've taken in replacement of the grants that they would have otherwise have given them. So that's interesting. So there's
one smart Malaysian, right?
Yeah, right.
Malaysian CEO, so
Exactly.
he knows how to handle Trump.
Yeah.
Right. So of course you look at many other things as well. There are all the data centers that are supposed to be set up in the process of being set up in Malaysia. Nvidia, Microsoft, Amazon, Google.
Yeah, the hyperscalers.
Yeah.
What about the third possibility that he could be here? The fact that he's actually not here to talk about Malaysia, but he's actually here as a venue to meet Xi Jinping on the sidelines.
That's more. That's more my feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the question is then
Malaysia being neutral territory and so on.
Yeah, but I mean this is where I get the thought that actually again it's a question of how do you make yourself of consequence, right? When you talk about when Jason mentioned about the waterways and you mentioned about the waterways, you must remember the waterways that all the merchant marine ply on are international waterways. It's really irrelevant whether they dock in Indonesia or they dock in Port Klang or they also have presence in Singapore. Okay, so the way the geopolitics is set up, I mean, and again they also have a base in the Philippines, right? And you got what is that? They got the Seventh Fleet is stationed in Yokosuka,
Japan.
in Japan,
Yeah.
right? So basically, from a geopolitical standpoint, in terms of their navy presence, their Seventh Fleet, which is the most important element of their projection of military might plus protection of shipping lanes, they are already there irrespective, right? The question I always ask, and I go back to that point that you made, Jason, is basically then how do you add value to it? Because if you ask me, I remember I'm an oil man, right? And I think at one point, and I think even at this point, Exxon has practically pulled themselves out of Malaysia effectively.
Yes.
Right? So that tells you a lot. And even Intel, while you say that, right? The manufacturing can move, in a split second. because what we are providing in terms of even semiconductor is not as that value added as we may think. You know, so this is always the problem of developing nations. Yeah, and it is incumbent upon us actually to actually take advantage of the situation. That comes down to Malaysian government policies and how we are vis-a-vis the Americans. And I think that's the part that I think if I were the Americans and if I was Trump, you know, you look at how Prabowo actually reached out to Trump to congratulate. He didn't call Prabowo, you know.
Yes.
Prabowo called him.
The moment he won the election. Yes.
Prabowo called him.
Yeah, he wasn't president yet.
Yes. So, and that's the whole dynamics, right? We have a hubris, as if we want to be the champion of whatnot, okay, in the Middle East. But look at the Middle East nations. If you look at that peace in the Middle East image, okay, Trump was standing right in front with the American presidency emblem on the podium in Egypt, and behind him was the Western European leaders and the Arab leaders and one Indonesian president.
Yeah.
Okay?
Exactly.
So the geopolitics, if you were to ask me today, I don't know. I want to hear your opinion, Jason. I think we have reverted from a multipolar world to a unipolar one. And I'm willing to make an argument for that. And that unipolar world is led by America, and the foundation is being led by Trump.
Okay. Two things I just want to address.
Please.
For this ASEAN Summit, Xi Jinping is not coming. Neither is Putin. Neither is Modi. So the only big man and the big show in town is Trump.
Can I ask you then, if that's the question, if that is you know for sure Xi Jinping is not coming?
Yeah.
I know for sure Putin is not coming. He's already announced. But why do you think Xi Jinping is not coming?
There are a lot of things that's happening in China currently. The fourth plenum is still on today.
Yes.
There are all kinds of rumors.
I thought it's ending this today.
I think today is probably the end.
Yeah.
So as you would have seen the prelude to that fourth plenum.
Right.
The recent announcement of 9 generals that was removed.
That was purged out.
So it is like, and this came from the Ministry of Defense.
Yeah.
And okay, I mean, I divert a little bit. No
Sure.
No matter how you dice it and try to spin it, if you have 9 generals, all appointed by Xi Jinping, being removed allegedly for corruption, it means only 2 things.
Mm-hmm.
One, you are a terrible judge of character. You have 9 of your closest appointees, top military generals, and they have now been all removed for corruption. I mean, what kind of leader? You can't be.
Yeah, if you are the
9 people.
CEO, something is dead wrong.
Something is wrong.
Yeah.
Secondly, the other way to spin it is okay, you're probably one amongst them. You're also part of the gang. Maybe the white thing is also on the wall for you. So 9 of them, your people removed. So there must be consequence in the scheme of things when you have 9 generals removed, and then the top guy. I mean, Xi Jinping is still chairman of the CMC.
Yes.
So he's the chief of army. Technically, he's still the commander-in-chief. So
what is the CMC?
The Chinese China Military
Commission, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So amongst those that was removed, I mean, he's chairman, and then comes down there is a vice chairman, and two vice chairmen. One of the vice chairmen, He Wei-dong, has been removed. So basically, one right arm gone, leaving only one other guy. So, and then a whole series of many guys. And the rocket force that was set up by Xi Jinping basically since 2015 and modernized since 2022, there are only 5 rocket force commanders, and all 5 have been removed.
So let's take this a step further. What does it mean then?
So it means that there is a lot of things that are behind the scene happening in China. We are hearing a lot of rumors, but we are unable to confirm anything. But like I say, they cannot be without a consequence. There must be some.
What is the strongest rumor?
So there are various possibilities. One scenario is that nobody wants to really rock the boat so much as to say Xi Jinping immediately step down from power. No. He holds three of the most powerful positions today in China. One, the presidency. Two, the Secretary General of the party. Three, the chairman of the military commission.
CMC, yeah.
So of the three, two are basically kind of political. The military commission is the one that holds the military power. So one possibility is that the vice chairman currently, the General Zhang Yuxia, may just step up and become the chairman of the military commission, basically forcing Xi Jinping to relinquish his military power, and he will step back and just take the president. It could just be a figurehead plus the SecGen position of the CCP, or he may even lose the SecGen position. Somebody else may come in. So if that's the case, then we are seeing the beginning of the end of Xi Jinping. Nobody want to rock the boat and do a sudden takeover. So there will be a phased transition. So I think the fourth plenum today ending will mark the beginning of something. And then there is the 21st Party Congress that's coming up in about 2 years' time.
That's 2027, right?
2027. So maybe a nice time to ease him out, transition or something like that. So there's no disruptive kind of takeover in China. So China, they do things like this. They don't want to lose face. They don't want to do this abrupt thingy. So everybody gets to keep the face and there's a graceful exit. So I think if that's true, then Xi Jinping has a lot of things on his plate. I don't think he can afford to leave the country.
He may not go. He may not come back. Yeah, I mean, I'm not joking about
exactly.
that.
Yeah. I mean, that's what happened to Thaksin.
Yeah.
Right? He went to the UN, and then the next day was that there was a coup, and then he came home.
Yeah.
And he went to an exile.
Yeah.
So things like this can
No,
happen.
I've been saying about this for the last, I would think, 3 months, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, even when we had our discussion with Fui, remember? Yeah, and I was already intimating that something is brewing in China because number one, from an economic standpoint, they have overbuilt, overcapacity, overproduction, and yet their wages are suppressed. Okay, you can't. So they cannot consume their way out of what is currently possibly is a recession, right? So, can you imagine this? Their GDP per capita is only slightly above us.
Yes.
And yet every major city is gleaming with infrastructure and railway system and whatnot, and I call that is the basic flaw of the GDP KPI driven promotion planning of the CCP, one state system.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I think this is just adding to his grab of power in the CCP, which he abolished the term limit.
Yes.
Right, and I don't think that sat well with the.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
the party elders, everybody also wants a chance. I mean, here you are. When's my turn? And you decided to remove the term limit. You're going to be president for life.
Yeah. Who was the last president? Was it the last president or the Secretary General that after his retirement he was he died and people were speculating that he was actually murdered?
The former PM.
The former PM, right? What's his name? Li Keqiang. Yes, Li Keqiang.
Yes.
So that is a big.
There was quite a bit of speculation because he died at a very strange young age of 69.
Crazy, right?
So in China, if you understand the way that they take care of their leaders, especially when you are in the top 20,
right,
you have a private medical team and a private hospital designed for you for emergencies. They will take care of you.
Hey, Mahathir is still alive at 100, okay?
Yeah. So, so China, no, they don't spare any expense.
Yeah.
Right? So even if, can you imagine, you are former PM, you cannot be just like that. And look at all of them, they are all hale and hearty at 80, 82, 85. Why?
Do you remember the was it the CCP last Congress when they removed Hu Jintao from the meeting?
Yes. Hu Jintao is still one of those.
Yes.
Among the
and he's
party
the
elders.
He's the most respected party elder.
Yes. Other than Xi Jinping, he is now one of those.
Can you imagine him getting escorted out?
Yes. So he has his own
faction. Yes.
Which are fairly, these are what we call them, the technocratic faction.
Yep.
So back to Li Keqiang, actually, there was one fact that was pointed out by one of my friends in China. He said, when he had a heart attack, allegedly heart attack, they took him to a small provincial hospital instead of the designated hospital for the PM. So why? And then this hospital were not that far apart. They were about 27 kilometers apart. So it's like you could have taken him to the designated. Why break the protocol and send him to a place where there has got no facilities to treat the heart attack, that kind of thing. So there's a lot of rumors going around in China.
I think Zhang Yujia is going to take over, if you ask me.
Sam, your point about the GDP is absolutely on point, because many people do not realize that China's GDP per capita is actually lower than Mexico's GDP per capita.
Yes.
So
that is not a superpower.
So you want to look at that, Mexicans can say, hey, we are better off than you guys.
Yeah.
But China
you have gleaming cities. Yeah. You have you can boast about your railway, but I saw it from an economic standpoint as becoming I can build as many as Evergrande, and I have nobody actually to transport or to fill up the place. Yeah. So I think that economic catalyst is one. That power grab of taking over 3 positions of power and abolishing term limit, I think probably the factions have had enough. And the question I have then, going back to our topic, is actually, why would Trump come?
Well, America has what you call a published strategy paper called the Indo-Pacific strategy, whether you call it a net security or warfare paper or whatever. But it is a very broad Indo-Pacific strategy, America's viewpoint. But how can you have Indo-Pacific strategy without Southeast Asia? Southeast Asia is definitely a very critical part of Indo-Pacific. So I think Trump has now begun to see that this is one important part, and South China Sea is definitely a key issue. So his presence here would also signify that America is now paying attention to not just Southeast Asia, but also to South China Sea. And by the way, South China Sea, you look at the way that the COC, or the Code of Conduct, is being negotiated and trying to get it completed. First, we have the Declaration of Conduct, the South China Sea Declaration of Conduct. That took 15 years just to talk about declaration. And then 12 years ago, we started on the Code of Conduct. And it's still being negotiated today. I think it will take probably more than 15 years to even get it done.
Yeah.
So how can you even get that done? And it's so complicated because China is trying to negotiate it separately, bilaterally with every single ASEAN nation. Because China do not want ASEAN to gang up as one big bloc and negotiate as a bloc. So China want to split. It's kind of like divide and rule. So I negotiate with Brunei, I negotiate with Vietnam, I negotiate all separately. And it's very hard to put everything, everyone's interest and converge together into one code of conduct. So this is going to take perpetually long time. And meanwhile, there's no code of conduct. A lot of things can happen in the South China Sea, and which we have seen. Almost every 2 months there will be some incursion into our EEZ, whether it's Malaysian, currently there's one, whether it's Thailand, Indonesia, Philippines, and everything else. So that part is key. And from what I understand, there was also an announcement that Trump wants to witness the signing of the peace treaty between Cambodia and Thailand.
Yeah, and he wants to cement his legacy as a peacemaker
Yes,
rather than as a warmonger.
He wants to be there. So this is actually perhaps maybe even more important than the summit itself.
You may be right there. Yeah,
So he wants to be
I
there.
sort of missed out
He
that
wants
one.
to
Yeah.
grab the limelight
And-
of that one, right?
Yeah, he's always a producer.
Yeah, and he also made a statement that he doesn't want China to be in the room when that is being signed. So he wants every single camera to be all focused on him. This attention. This is me, man. I did this. I got these two parties together, and now there's peace. I'm a peacemaker. I'm the peace president. So next year's Nobel Prize, Nobel Peace Prize is mine. So this is something that is,
I don't give much credits to his need for the Nobel Prize, to be honest with you. I think a lot of the region has come that way, but my understanding of that character, he's just trolling people. He loves to troll people, right? And for him, if you ask me, his main emphasis is to turn around America to be the preeminent economic and superpower in the world, right? If you look at it, right, I mean, he himself also does not quite believe in multilateralism, right? He doesn't like the WTO. He pulled out of the WHO. I don't think he liked the UN either, right? Yeah, and I think, and if I read his mind right, I honestly understand why, and I would do the same if I were in his position. Because why? He's coming from an economic standpoint. It's not about divide and rule. If I'm going to do an economic deal, why would I want to have a bunch of companies collaborating with each other and having a mediator negotiating with me? I would rather negotiate with each one and let them compete for my consumer base, because I've got the richest consumer base in the world.
Yes, yeah.
Isn't that right?
Exactly. I mean, Sam, you're definitely right, because gone are the days where America wants to be the global referee. No more.
Yeah.
So Trump, what's the point of being a referee?
Yeah.
You know? So Trump is like, no, I got skin in the game. I'm now a global player. I'm part of the game, and I play to win, right? So why bother to even negotiate through some multilateral organizations? We can negotiate directly.
Yeah.
So multilateralism, as far as Trump is concerned, is dead.
Yeah.
I would call it today, if you want to give a name, this is transactionalism on turbocharged.
Steroids.
Oh, steroids.
Well, he's on a timeline, right? Because I think their national debt just went past 38 trillion in, I think, just 3 weeks. I think they pay more every year for interest than on defense and social security and healthcare. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And it's this juggernaut that just can't stop. I mean, he's got to make it happen. He's got to get it done.
I think
It's
the other
crazy.
part, when you talk about that, I agree. I mean, I think both of us has now come to a point where we both agree that multilateralism is dead, right? I have made the point as well, and I've made a bet with Chuang. BRICS is dead. Okay. I mean, what are you going to rely on BRICS? You've got China hobble with its own economic problem. All right. You've got Russia, who's supposed to actually win the war in 4 weeks, and they're bogged down for 4 years against a defensive weapon provided by America. That's a nothing, right? And you've got, like you said as well, not just the economic situation in China itself, but also the political situation that Xi Jinping is facing, right? So the entrance of Trump 2.0 comes at the best time for America to actually take back the reign of being the unipolar global superpower, and I think it's going to happen. Do you know what I read just over the weekend? Because my previous company, we were one of the pioneers in offshore marine in Malaysia. And, the International Maritime Organization was trying to impose a zero carbon zero carbon framework, right? You know what has come out of it?
No.
Done. Okay, it's over. All right, they have conveniently postponed it to next year because they don't want to lose face.
Yes.
Right? But for all intents and purposes, that whole carbon renewables thing is dead in the water.
Yes.
Yeah? And the way Trump is going about in terms of lowering energy prices, it's all going to be about oil, gas, and nuclear.
Yeah.
And practically even coal. Clean coal.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because he has no qualms about fossil fuel. So
Yeah.
dig.
Yeah.
Dude,
Drill, baby.
the oil price is now approaching $60 per barrel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So he doesn't care.
Yeah.
He
it's
doesn't
okay.
care.
It's okay. I mean, cheap oil is always good because it will fuel
Growth.
growth and economic boom throughout.
Yeah, industrial
everywhere.
activity. I think
that's
I think their
good.
PMIs are still below 50, and
Yeah.
they're going to get it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So of course, some of but
Which makes
some
it
oil
worse.
companies may make it a bit difficult.
Yeah.
When their margin cost is a bit too high.
Well, I've always said this, and I kept saying to people for the last four years, that anticipate an oil price of $50 and make your company as efficient as possible so that you can make a profit at $50 per barrel. If you can do that, I don't care what happens with the oil cycle.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, most does not want to heed that kind of advice.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we've got that situation. With respect to even carbon capture or zero net carbon. I think he's killing off the ESG initiatives,
Definitely.
the globalization initiatives. The whole framework of globalization is being ripped apart.
Yep.
Yeah. So what do you see? Where do you see we are going with that? In terms of where do you see Trump is pushing the global agenda?
Well, you mentioned the return to the unipolar world.
Mm-hmm.
I would not go as far as that.
Okay.
I would say that for me, it looks like Trump is. My objective assessment of it is that America is at the center of everything, but not always in control. So I think I will put that statement. So because Trump wants to put America first and America at the front and center of everything. So whether it's geopolitics, whether it's geoeconomics, I mean today geoeconomics has been in a way co-opted to become to boost geopolitical power, basically. So he's talking about security coupled with trade deals, defense, and resources. So everything is all mixed up together to provide that kind of power to America. I mean, gone are the days where, we at one time ambassadors. I used to teach that also to some of our ambassadors. Fukuyama, the decline of the hegemon, America decline. So we're always pushing soft power. I mean, for Trump is concerned, he doesn't care about soft power. So his power is that we will project power, but it's not soft. This is going to be hard because we will talk about, every deal, everything. Alliances have become clients. Trade deals have become, treaties have become trade deals. Sometimes every handshake.
Yeah. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Treaties has become trade deals. I like that. Yeah.
Right? And every handshake comes with a price, maybe a price tag. So I don't care.
Yeah.
And there's no such thing as the sacred cows that we cannot cross, certain things that we will never do. He will do.
Yeah.
Whatever that suits him and whatever that suits America and puts America's interest first.
May I say this then? Actually, I've said this all along. I think the mindset of Trump as a blue-collar businessman, I call him, as long as the bottom line works, he doesn't care.
Yeah.
Well, I think I read somewhere that whatever decision America makes in its seemingly haphazard style is that it's got to satisfy three things. Does it make America safer? Does it make America stronger? Does it make America richer? If it does any one of those three things, they'll do it. So which then brings me to the point about Malaysia's trade tariffs, right? I think it's 19%, but not yet official. So does that get cobbled down this trip as well? 19%. What's at stake? I mean, could it be higher? Could
Is
it
it
be lower?
19 or is it 24?
19.
19.
19. It's gone down to 19.
Yeah,
Yeah.
19. Actually,
But does it stay at 19?
fairly decent deal, actually, comparatively.
Well, because the last I saw it was about 24.
Yeah.
It went up to 25. Then it go down to 24. This must be
It's
pretty
back and
recent.
forth lah. It's back
19.
and forth. Yeah. So MITI, I think, is in is in deep discussions
not
with their
to-
people.
It's yeah. I agree with you. It's pretty decent if you get it at 19.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's at stake? I mean,
I
obviously
don't,
Malaysia wants to pay less. America wants to get more.
I don't think this particular trip for Trump, he has the time for all that to negotiate trade
probably
deals and all
needs
that.
Certainly.
Yeah, so
Besson
it's
and
just in
Lightning
and
anyway.
Certainly,
I don't think
Anwar
Besson
would
is
love-
coming. Neither is Jameson Gray or.
But I
anything.
heard that Besson is coming.
I see. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
So
Certainly, I know I'd love to make an announcement on that front when they are here. I mean, just
But
for
you know
optics
what?
reasons.
I mean, you know what? I mean, I think as the lowest we can even actually imagine is actually 15%. If you ask me, that is the lowest I can see ever happening. Because of
What does Singapore pay? Singapore pays 10, right?
yeah, because Singapore has hardly any non-tariff barriers. We can't.
we have
we
a lot
can't
of them.
untangle.
We have a lot of
barriers.
non-tariff barriers.
Yeah, our Bumiputra policies are
Huge impediment.
it's a non-tariff barrier that we cannot, or our government are not willing to untangle. So I think if you can get 15%, I take my hat off.
Exactly.
And I think our companies can handle a 15% tariff.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or even 19% to be
Even
honest.
19, yeah.
I mean, among the competing nations, I think that's definitely it. The other thing I sort of like wanted to mention before I forget. So if this divert a bit, Jason, I sort of laugh when China announced controls over the rare earth minerals. Actually, I was thinking to myself, how much can you shoot yourself in the foot? I mean, and I was looking at the mainstream media and the talking heads going as if, there you go, Trump. China is going to get. And I'm like, dude, do you guys realize something? This hubris is going to bite your ass. Have they not remembered OPEC? Right? You do not go and screw your customers, and especially your biggest customers around the world.
Yeah.
They seem to have forgotten the lesson of OPEC, and not only that, I think they're now backing down.
Yes.
Bit
because,
knee-jerk lah.
Yeah.
It was
I
a bit
mean,
knee-jerk.
I think, you ask me, buddy, I think that particular move was probably done by someone in the either in the rankings trying to project a strength on behalf of Xi Jinping.
Yeah.
Don't you think so? Probably.
I suspect so. It seems to be a card that was played too fast, too soon, without deep thinking about the consequences.
Yeah.
And of course, the talking heads like to say that, here you are, so this is going to set America back, and we're going to really blackmail America. But there are so many moving parts. And one part which I think nobody wants to see, even the think tanks don't even talk about it, is surprisingly, the people whom I engage with, they say, oh, this is the card that America has got no card to say. So Trump is going to tackle as usual. I say, hey, it might just be the other way around. So it's going to be China going to tackle, not Trump.
Which they have.
Which they are going
Sorry,
to,
what
right?
is taco? What is taco? For the benefit of our foreign audience.
Trump always what?
Chicken out.
Chicken
out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Trump always chicken. That means he
So
will do U-turn.
actually,
and he
this
will-
one is going to be Chaco.
Yeah, he go to Chaco, Exco or whatever,
China is going to chicken out.
Yeah, I mean, on a very logical sense, if you are trying to say that, we are going to control the entire global supply chain, and there are rules that you must follow when you export anything that contains a little bit of
0.1%, my friend.
0.01 or whatever. How in the world can China enforce it if you are Australia, you are exporting your equipment with a lot of rare earth? To me, I'm in America. Hey, Australia, America business. China, you want to block this? This is extra territoriality, which has got
Nothing to do with you.
Yeah, you can't reach it. It's an overreach. Which court in the world is going to enforce that and say, we're going to enforce China's rules on that? You think you're like US, you can enforce the sanctions?
Yeah.
You can't.
So from the ASEAN standpoint, right, we've got this, we're talking about the return to a unipolar world. We've got the receding of China as a power for all the reasons that you mentioned, right? How does ASEAN look at China? How does ASEAN look at America? How do Malaysian businesses position themselves? I mean, we talk about offering an Asian perspective, right?
Yeah.
It does seem as if we don't quite know. I mean, we're still followers. I mean, that much is clear, right? We are just Johnny come latelys. But how do we better position ourselves for this world?
I have my thoughts on that.
Yeah.
But I would really love to hear Jason first.
Okay. I think I did some jotting down some notes on that. Definitely, one thing that we can do for ASEAN or Malaysia, for that matter, we really need to understand how to play the game. If we have gone too much over to the China side, we need to recalibrate.
Mm-hmm.
And Trump's trip to Malaysia, ASEAN, this is a perfect opportunity for us to recalibrate and begin to understand that, like I say, America is still at the center of a lot of things. Things do not really revolve around China.
No.
It's America. Yes, no doubt sometimes they cannot control everything, but you need to understand. And if you want to insist that there is a multipolar world, people get mixed up with the definition of multipolar. Because a more definite and clearer picture, accurate picture of multipolar, I would say, is that there will be multiple poles in the world where countries will have their own sphere of influence in each of these multiple poles. India wants to be a pole, right? So does Brazil wants to be a pole. China wants to be a pole. Japan wants to be a pole. So that...
But that's very regional.
Yeah, so you're looking at multipolar. It's not a multipolar world where you have two different poles and they're all equal strength and they're fighting by. No, right? The strength is asymmetrical. And the multiple pole that you are in charge of, like India, I have my little pole in the Indian Ocean and India, but that's all I am. There is a bigger pole out there, there's America. So how does all this interact? So Malaysia and ASEAN, despite all the claims about ASEAN centrality, we are not in the center of things, right? We are just somewhere in the orbit. And we really need to understand our place in things like this. So if at all there is any strategy and an advice for businessmen in Malaysia who may have business in China, they should adopt a China plus one strategy. So meaning you are in China, but always have a backup manufacturing place, maybe in Vietnam. So in case something happens to China, something implodes, something just clamp down, there is some kind of major trade war, and the geopolitics make it so impossible for you to operate in China anymore, you have Vietnam. So it's a China plus one policy that's very important. So ensure that your supply chain is varied enough and robust enough to withstand this kind of geopolitical upheavals. So that you don't get wrong, because you know already supply chains are now being weaponized as part of the trade deal. Trump will do it. China will do it. China is doing this supply chain thingy about this rare earth thing. Right. That is why US and Australia did this big deal about the critical framework on rare earth. And what Trump said was in that statement was that this is to build a China-free supply chain.
Yeah.
So basically,
they're decoupling.
Yeah, decoupling. So the decoupling will happen.
Yeah.
It's not just de-risking now.
No, it's going to be a decoupling.
Yeah, it's gone beyond that.
Yeah.
And
because you've just made the point that you can't trust me.
Yes. And with China's big announcement about rare earth,
yeah,
and they want to do a song and dance about it, you ask for it.
You ask for it. Yeah. No, I as a chemical engineer, I'll tell everybody this, right? Rare earths are not rare.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, they are not rare at all.
Yeah.
Okay, and in my opinion, including the production technology or the refining technology, even if you were to build up China as a 90% monopoly, has maybe a lead time of 2 to 3 years maximum. I give them 2 years at best. Okay, before America says, what they are doing today,
yep,
that, that monopoly is gone.
Okay, so here are some numbers I've got, right? The US doesn't lack a rare earth reserve. Actually, the US is number 7 globally with 1.8 million tons, but it buys over 70% of its rare earths from China, about $170 million worth. The secret science is in the purification process and the full supply chain which China has, right? The purification thing. But recently, America has been buying rare earths like it's going out of fashion, right? The US Department of Defense has moved to secure up to $1 billion in critical minerals, from cobalt and antimony to scandium and tantalum, as part of a global race to reduce dependence on China, as part of the coupling process.
Not just that. I mean, you think about this, right? The only reason America, under the Democrat rule, because their policies has been about environmentalism,
climate change,
and whatnot. The biggest thing is the current technology that is applied by China, who doesn't care how the environment is going to be affected or how the manpower is utilized and poisoned by the mining and the manufacturing of the rare earth materials. Okay, that is why they have monopolized.
Yeah.
But what they have done is actually made the whole world, including Western Europe, America especially, and Australia, to say, okay, that's what you want to do, we're going to get into it, right? And they will get into it, and they will get into it very fast.
Exactly. I mean, who owns the technology in the first place? Original innovators of the technology. It's America.
Yeah.
I mean, the Americans, the Democrats, more specifically, abdicated their position and just say, oh, we don't want all this dirty, toxic stuff in our backyard, can let China have it. They abdicated that position. And China took advantage of it, and they just did all the refining. Who cares about climate change in China? So they did all that. So they had that advantage.
Yeah. Hey, buddy, remember how much of Lina's issue was it? What was that? Almost 2 decades ago in Malaysia, right? Today, everybody is crying for Linas and multiple Linas. What kind of idiotic shit are we talking about? I mean, this is my problem with our policymakers, right? They are so caught up aping the trend of the day, of the Western narrative. They don't have the foresight to think beyond the conventional of what is being said. I am advocating via this podcast as for our policymakers and for our Malaysian audience, because the American audience are smarter. Okay? All right? You know, they've already done it. They don't care. That's why they elected Donald Trump, right? Drop all this bullshit. All right? Because why? You need economic power.
Yes.
Okay? One, and that's what we need to do. And that's where when you ask, when Chuang asked that question, I defer to Jason. And I said, I think he has opened up for what I want to say now, which is, what do we do then, with this ASEAN Summit, with America coming in, and he's used the right word, which is to recalibrate your relationship. I mean, Probo has recalibrated his relationship. Yeah. Okay? The Philippines, we know for a fact they've always been pro-America, right? Japan, with this new prime minister.
Oh, yeah.
All right? South Korea has got to rethink where they are. Okay? But I would say Malaysia really need to look at what we are. We have a central position. What our problem has been is this bugaboo about the Middle East, right? Probo says outright in the UN that we will recognize Israel.
Yeah.
Okay? And you know what? What Trump has provided in his 20-point peace plan is as best as I have seen a plan that is backed by the Arab nations, right? Come on, get on the bandwagon. Get on the bandwagon. Clean up our act in terms of actually using our resources to actually go into productive economic activity, right? And don't increase the cost of doing business. Open up our market.
Do you know what? I do a lot of work with the local corporates, right?
Sure.
And they still talk about sustainability.
Uh-huh.
They still talk about ESG.
Yeah.
And I said to you, guys, do you realize that horse has left the barn? Why? But the thing is,
what did they tell you?
Well, the thing is, they're still focused on doing sustainability messaging and putting a lot of the activities behind all these narratives. And I say to them, the rest of the world has moved on from this part. From this idea, right? Why are you still pursuing this? And the thing is, I think a lot of Malaysian corporates, especially among the GLCs, they're just following. They're not thinking originally about why and how they should do it.
The problem is because at the governmental level, which follows down through Bank Negara, Securities Commission, and even Bursa, okay, they still have not woke up that the horse has bolted the barn.
Yeah.
And not just bolted the barn. Basically, the biggest consumer market in the world has burned the barn down.
Exactly.
No,
you're right. You're exactly right.
And I think that the faster, and all you're doing is increasing the cost of doing business, making your company less productive and less profitable. All right? And, get out of that Greta Thunberg mentality, okay, and be a serious business people. And actually this is what we need to do, and actually learn from what the Americans are doing, which is why they voted Trump in.
Yeah.
And not just that. Actually, I'm extremely impressed with Trump's cabinet. They are running on multiple silos and actually integrating all the silos at breakneck speed. It's like they're using economy to leverage for peace. Who'd ever thought of that?
Yeah, because money speaks very loud. And if you look at the entire Trump cabinet, how many billionaires are there?
Exactly.
Right? So even Trump, in his own right, he's a billionaire.
Yeah.
So when it comes to business, he can tell you a lot of things about business, and he's a successful businessman.
Yeah.
Right? So he's, in a way, running the country along that lines.
Yes.
How to make it a success, but now making use of all the other levers of powers, whether it's security, whether it's military and everything else. So even to make it even more successful. It's quite strange, like you say, when it comes to rare earth. Malaysia today, we are talking about NREE, non-radioactive rare earth elements. we have substantial. And that's also a key point in China's so-called playing the rare earth card. Because increasingly, non-radioactive rare earth will come to replace the rare earth. So that means there will be a time, even now graphene is coming up as one of those possible replacement of rare earth. And over the past 60 years, rare earth refining technology has changed. And now the refining technology is much better, modern, less toxic, less polluting. So a lot of things are happening. It's not like we are still stuck with the old technology. So America is evolving and they are right at the forefront about a lot of these new technologies. And there are many things that are replaceable, many things that can be substituted. Even magnets can be recycled. So there's no such thing now, I control the world magnet production, therefore everybody is beholden to me.
It's gone.
Right?
Yeah.
Magnets can be recycled.
As I said, OPEC used to think that.
Yes, OPEC. So that is where, so this is something that Malaysia must always think, its geopolitical power is always very dynamic. And maybe one specific thing that Malaysia can do, considering the fact that, okay, China and US, let's begin to adopt and learn multiple standards for doing things.
Well, I think that
American standards and maybe China standards. So we got Huawei here. You learn those things. They got the Huawei OS and all that. So, okay, be familiar with that so that you can operate those stuff. Jason, that you can still do all those stuff.
I have this suggestion before I forget, if you don't mind me interjecting, I mean, I look at it as, I know you push back a bit on the unipolar term that I use, but I'm going to stand by it that actually we are looking at it from a global standpoint. It is going to be a unipolar world led by America for the next, at least strongly, 20 years. Okay? Because I'm looking at the domestic American politics. I think you're looking at the heir apparent J.D. Vance to take over for the next 2 cycles. All right? And we don't know. I mean, I'm sorry to my Democratic friends, but how are you going to win an election when you can't even define what is a woman? Okay? So to me, when I look at that, and then when you say about, this regional economic power, what you do with regional economic power is basically they're just your partner in traders.
Yes.
That's all. All right? So you trade with every country. I don't care whether it's China, how big their economy is, South Korea, how big their economy is, but the regime is the global regime is gonna be dictated by Uncle Sam, like it or not. Okay? So I think the faster we realize this reality, the better we are. Okay? So I have a suggestion actually in this sense. I want to get to this when you talk about recalibrating, right? The US have got their 7th fleet. They're going to expand their naval power. Okay? Dude, we are in the Straits of Malacca. Right? You've got shipyards that are not working. You've got in Labuan, you've got in Lumut, you've got in Kuantan. You've got technology to adopt in order for you to actually, one of the things that you can do if you recalibrate it properly to be an ally is to have this nuclear powered and whatnot fleet be docking at your shipyards to be maintained. Can you imagine the economic boom we're talking about?
Yeah, this is big business.
This is huge business.
This is maritime, like MRO, whether it is repairs.
Why is our policymakers not even thinking about this? Right? These are real technology that we are absorbing. Yeah. And we have to recalibrate. We have to think about the flow. If the Arabs can come along with Trump, who are we? Do we know better than the Arabs about their own region? Give me a break. So that is one area I see The other area that we need to do, which is actually where I always say, I don't know how you look at it. I've always said this about income, about the so-called middle income trap of developing countries. The middle income trap of developing countries, number one reason is actually corruption.
Yeah, which is true.
That's all. That is all. If you reduce corruption, okay, I guarantee you Malaysia per capita GDP will be at minimum 40,000 US dollar. And the system will be so efficient, and we will see our people rich. You know? And then for America, what are they looking at? If you ask me, for America, what are they looking at? What is actually the biggest leverage for America that concerns them? Because Chuang, you rightly put, one of the biggest issue for them is security, right? And the biggest concern of I don't think they're worried about China from a military standpoint. I don't think they're worried about Russia from a military standpoint. They just don't. Trump doesn't want the war. That's all.
Yeah.
Right? You know, I think if China could take Taiwan, they would have taken Taiwan 10 years ago.
Could easily have.
Yeah.
And even now, if they want to, they can.
They
Right.
can if they want to, but
Yeah.
the 7th Fleet is there.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to allow that to happen.
Yeah.
Right? So if you ask me, really ask me, what is the biggest threat from the point of view of America is actually the cells of terrorist organizations and those that are controlling government that they are worried about. So if we can partner them in terms of eliminating this threat, you know, in Indonesia, the biggest NGO is Nahdlatul Ulama. Okay? Their ex-president can't even free his so-called political partner, okay, who was the mayor of Jakarta, from prison because of an alleged offense of insulting the religion when he was just quoting the Quran. Right? So, if we become the beacon of what a progressive Muslim country that is their partner, I think we hold the geopolitical center of Southeast Asia, if not bigger. That's my pitch.
Makes a lot of sense. On the proviso that the Malaysian government is actually listening.
Yeah.
And they've got people smart enough and with enough political will and courage to push it through.
Yeah, it's not
Because-
that difficult.
No, it's not that difficult, but there's a lot of things which are not difficult, but it's not done. It's because they don't have the will or the courage. And there's a lot of embedded interest to continue the status quo. And that's the truth of the matter.
Yeah.
I mean, there's all these social policies that we have, which are deleterious to the economy, but they continue to exist. Why? Why?
But you know the funny thing, as far as I look at it, actually, if you were to reverse course, the fact is the people in power will still hold to power. Actually, they will be making more money than they could ever dream of.
Of course.
Yeah.
In the real world, they can't hold a dime, right? But in politics, they can because they can blag it,
but,
right?
But if you make the economy richer, right? You
They
know,
don't think of it that way, though, mate.
Yeah, unfortunately. But I mean, it's interesting. I mean, I was looking at the domestic. I mean, I don't know how much you look at the domestic politics within the American context, because I'm quite a close watcher of their domestic politics, and I really believe, and that's why people say that they can't trust America because after 4 years somebody else gonna get voted in and whatnot, and the policy change. But I think what we are seeing today is going to cement itself, because Trump is just really a different animal altogether.
American political
I think it's
landscape has
gonna-
also changed.
Yeah.
American political opinion, by and large, has also changed because if you remember, you go back all the way to 1973, Roe and Wade. That's the landmark Supreme Court decision which legalized abortion.
Right.
And it took 50 years, 2022, it was reversed finally by the Supreme Court. So 73 to 2022. And out of it was by a 5-4 decision, split decision. Out of the 5 Supreme Court justices that reversed that decision, 3 of them are Trump appointees by Trump 1. So actually Trump takes credit for it.
Yeah.
And that's why when the Trump campaign in Trump 2.0, he touched very much, he was able to tap into the real heart of America, which wanted 3 things. I will put it simply, 3 things. 1, we want to take back our children. We take back all our innocent children which are being aborted. So stop the abortion. And we want to take back our country, close the borders, kick out all the illegal immigrants. And the third one, we want to take back our education. Stop all this DEI nonsense. Stop all this LGBT transition thingy and all those thingy. So we want back man and woman. That's it. So these 3 things became basically the undertone for MAGA. Make America great again means I take back my country. And this is how we take back our country. And this is how we make America great again. So Trump's politics and his political campaign is very well resonated with all Americans. That's why it was a landslide. The victory was a landslide.
Now, from an American political term, that is a landslide. Yeah.
Yeah. And Sam, you're right, because if you look at the near term, what is it like? So J.D. Vance seems to be going to be the next person to take over for the next 2 terms. That's another 8 years. And beyond J.D. Vance, that's the entire group of Trump family members.
Dude, their bench is so deep
Yeah.
in terms of
Just
talent.
his family, how many of them are possible presidential candidates? Right
you-
from Trump Jr. To Eric, down all the way to the youngest one, Bannon.
You know, my
Barron, yeah.
gut
Barron,
tells
Barron,
me.
right?
I-
Barron is like, wow, everybody say, hey, it looks like the next president. I mean,
But I
how
do
old is
think-
he? Right?
But Jason, you look at it actually. If you just run down the current cabinet, right? They're all young,
Yeah.
relatively all are young, right? If you ask me, you've got I mean Rubio.
Rubio? Yeah.
Rubio just blew my mind,
Yeah.
right? He just knocked my socks off. Actually, I never expected him to be as good as he is today, right? I mean, I didn't even know I didn't even know Vance until he was nominated, to be honest. Apart from the movie that was done based on his book,
Elegy
Oh, I
of
see,
yeah.
elegy of something.
Elegy.
Yeah.
Hillbilly Elegy,
Yeah.
right? I didn't expect him, but he has comported himself extremely well as the VP, and actually the way I saw it, I can see actually the CEO in Donald Trump actually mentoring his COO. You asked me today, I said J.D. Vance is the COO, okay? And if you look at Rubio, right? Rubio is almost like the right-hand man of whatever, So the bench is extremely deep. You get, I mean, the fact that you've got a Kennedy in your cabinet,
Yeah.
and another Democrat who is, I thought actually when Tulsi was running for presidency, right? I thought she was the best candidate that could beat Hillary, But of course, they were not about to allow Hillary to be swept away by either Tulsi or Bernie Sanders at that particular time.
Trump has always been very vocal about wanting to surround himself with really clever people, right?
Yeah.
I mean, just look at his press secretary. This woman, Caroline Levitt, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Holy moly, she's 27 years old?
Yeah.
She's bloody capable, man.
Yes.
The way she handles the media, I mean, I'm one of the media, right? The way she handles them, she sends messaging
Yeah.
on behalf of the president
Yeah.
to them,
Whilst answering the media question.
right? In the same sentence, and I'm like, wow, this woman. I mean, it's quite endemic of the team that he's got. But I mean, I don't think we can be overly glossing about Trump. There's a lot of things that he's still doing wrong. Right? Obviously, he's got there's a lot of criticism about him. With his Trump coin and this Melania coin, and he's making money off the whole crypto space
Crypto,
while
yeah.
also being pro crypto and all that kind of stuff. His style, obviously. ruffles a lot of feathers. There's still a lot of naysayers in our part of the world who
Okay.
still believe Trump is what he is.
Dude,
you know,
I mean, we can talk about the people saying
there's a
whatever
lot.
it is.
There's a lot, right?
So what?
Yeah,
You know?
true.
Yeah, but I mean, I want to say
But
something
nobody's
about
perfect.
I'm going to say something about the crypto thing only on one thing. As you know, I don't comment on crypto as an industry because I have no experience in it, right? But the family side
Yeah.
has actually built up that crypto market, right, for them.
Yeah.
Okay, the fact that they are having Trump as president helps their position, but that's not corruption, buddy. That's not corruption. As far as I'm concerned, that's not corruption. It's just like if you are the CEO of a company, right, and then that you are doing oil and gas, right? Your brother decides that I'm going to do construction, okay? And because my brother is the president, my construction company booms because people want to be associated with me. People wants to buy my property because why? They think it has cachet because of the president. That's not corruption.
Well, it's a fine line, isn't it? I mean, the day before his his inauguration, him and his wife have meme coins
So what?
launched in their name, right?
So what?
And you know, meme coins are basically culture tokens, right?
Yeah.
So it goes up to I don't know how much money, and it gets dumped. So some people make a lot of money, and some people lose a lot of money. But I think there's something inherently compromised about the whole situation.
No,
I mean, call me old-fashioned, right?
No, the only thing I would give to you.
I like the digital asset space. I think it makes a lot of sense.
No.
But for him to be involved and his family to be so overtly involved, there's something that doesn't smell right.
I'm not so-called trying to defend it, Trump or whatever, or everything that he does.
Let's be very
Okay.
clear here. Donald Trump is a capitalist.
Yeah.
He likes money.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Let's
to
be
me,
very clear.
No, but,
His whole family
but
likes
to me,
money.
Here's very simple. Here's very simple with that respect, right?
Yeah.
Okay. He's not selling the meme coin out of the Oval Office or the government.
No.
Right?
No, but
But if you're dumb enough to go and buy an asset and later it get dumped, that's your stupidity. I don't give a shit. Yeah, I mean, that's the way I look
should
at capitalism.
the Trump family profit from someone's stupidity?
I don't care. I really don't care.
Let the market forces
The market
decide.
forces decide. I really don't care. Dude, I don't care about renewables either. Okay? But if you're going to give me I think that renewables is a scam. Okay? I think it's a bubble. And I think I've been proven right now, especially now with China overproducing all their solar panels, all their batteries, blah, 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 that they are having to dump, right? Now, if China wants to give me, at 5 cents to the dollar, and I can sell to at $50, I don't care. Even though I don't believe in it, who gives a shit? I'm making money out of it.
Actually, Chuang, I read a very interesting paper long time back. I think, if I'm not wrong, it came from London School of Economics. And this was a very strange paper because it wrote about there's good corruption and there's bad corruption.
Corruption is corruption, isn't it?
And
Okay.
So it was quite interesting.
This is
you know.
interesting.
So
I've never heard this one.
Because the argument in that paper was, I couldn't locate it anymore. It said that, hey, let's be real. Every single civilization that came out, even the Asian tigers, every one of them was built on corruption.
Mm-hmm.
Taiwan was built on corruption. The Kuomintang was fully corrupt.
South
Korea and all those big trading houses were corrupt. Japan, same thing. So every one of them, and today we call them, these are the Asian tigers, the Asian dragons. And
So I mean, although Sam has a point, if Malaysia were to eradicate corruption, we would be twice the GNI per capita. Fine, sure.
Yeah.
But at what point, where does it go from black and white to grey? That's the question, you see.
Well,
Yeah, so
Right? You're right. I mean, there's good cholesterol and there's bad cholesterol, right? Is this HDL or is this LDL? You know what I mean, right?
No, I
Where do you draw the line?
Well, I draw the line at this. I mean, we all wish that there is zero corruption, right?
Yes.
We all wish there's zero corruption. I will take the reality that you want to have a system where you eliminate as much corruption as you can, so that it can go to productive. The capital goes for productive deployment, right? But if there is going to have to be no choice, some form of corruption, at the very least, I see the Twin Tower up there, and it is generating income, and it not just I can see the KLIA, what do you call, increasing the traffic, and bringing in more investments. I can see the highway making transportation more efficient and increasing our GDP. I don't mind.
Correct. But if those things could have been built at a third of the cost, because without the corruption, why not, right?
Of course, I'm
Yes,
not
why not?
denying that. Of course. What is the worst thing that can happen to us is like what happened with One IMDb, which is basically you build nothing, you go and take take debt upon the country, and you take the money away, and the people has nothing except for a debt burden.
Yeah. And
Can
then
you
you've
imagine how
you've got a,
sickening that is?
You've got a prime minister who was also the finance minister, and the travesty is that he didn't know what was going on. I mean, that's his defense.
Well, so let's go
back to America.
Yeah,
Right.
back to our topic.
There is this comparison that's very clear. Trump, yes, you're saying that, okay.
I mean, he's not perfect. Nobody's
maybe,
perfect, though, right? Yeah.
You know, he is being using, manipulating his family, manipulating whatever relationship that they have for their own good. Compared to Biden, I mean, if you are talking about sheer money laundering, 100 billion goes into Ukraine and it goes round, and then 20 billion comes back
Yep.
into the pockets of the Democrats. I don't know who else, whether it's Biden and his whole gang and those MILF, military
And Hunter
industrial
was
complex.
lobbying on behalf.
All that. I mean, that's
you're right. But two wrongs don't make a right.
Yeah,
Just
so
that one is
those
more
are the
guilty
things-
than the other.
Now we are talking about the extent of it.
So
Correct.
in that spectrum, that's where the Americans, most of them will still say, it's okay. We can accept that so long as our pockets are still okay. We have got increase in, like you were saying earlier on, if the economy is good, we have increased revenue, we have less taxes to pay, and the inflation is kept at bay, and now goods are getting cheaper. I'm okay. I won't take too much issue about that until such a time when it
henceforth
comes.
the LSE piece, which is there's good corruption and there's bad corruption, right?
Yeah.
Right. Good corruption. It's a thick layer that serves most people,
Yeah.
rather than bad corruption, which only serves a minority.
Only 2% or
Yeah,
something
yeah.
like that. Yeah.
Jason,
Yeah.
I mean, tell me whether I'm right or you disagree on this particular assessment on the investments or commitment for investments that has been announced by the Trump administration, right? I mean, some figures put it upwards to 9 trillion. Some figures put it upwards to 13 trillion or more. Now, let's take the lower number of 9 trillion, okay? I would have actually, but then I'm not a politician, right? I would have loved to see the campaign even before he came in, or even at the start, or maybe even at the start of his presidency, to have actually told the American people that, look, we're going to have some pain before we see results, right? Because I believe what he has done with the tariffs, and how he's bringing, they say, oh, there's no way Apple will come back. Well, Apple just said they're coming back, and they've committed what, 500 billion?
Yep.
Right? So that's just one, okay? And they've restructured American Steel, So, to me, I always look at from the time we go and get a loan from the bank, okay, or an investor commits money, right, to the point of deployment and actually seeing that money on the ground, you're probably looking at a period of between, at best, 8 months, probably on average 12 to 16 months. And then you will see the dividends of people working on all this invested capital.
Yes.
Right? So this is the only concern I have because I think we're looking at a midterms in November next year.
Yeah.
Right? So this is where you don't want the agenda to be derailed because they have not seen the dividend. You know? But I truly believe the dividend of all this will be coming in, you know, within that period I just mentioned. What do you think about that assessment?
Well, my assessment on the midterms is that it won't be too bad actually for Trump. I mean, traditionally, historically, a sitting president
Loose.
will do very poorly in the midterms. But
Yeah.
I think this is going to be one of those cases where it is going to be a bit different.
Why?
Because if you look at the domestic indicators, actually the GDP is up. From the last quarter was 3.8. Now the third quarter is 3.9.
Yeah.
So it's slightly going up. And for America, having a GDP of 3.9 actually is big. I mean,
Dude, I was telling Chuang.
Yeah.
I said I was very conservative. I had a range of 3 to 3.2.
yeah. So even that kind of growth, I mean, look at Europe. You
That's
can't even,
another subject altogether.
So that's a
or
basket
many
case,
other
right?
big countries,
yeah.
just to even begin to talk about 3% growth is almost very, very difficult.
Okay.
And then
Go on. Yeah.
1, 2, the unemployment rate has gone down. It was about 4.3, and the latest quarter has gone down to 4.1. That means more people are being employed. Non-farm payrolls have ticked up a bit, except for last August was the last one that was released. Only 22,000 jobs were created. But usually before August, and all the jobs that were created was at least in the hundreds of thousands, 100,000 plus. That means every month there are 100,000 jobs being created. So that means there are more jobs, income is up, and then inflation is at bay. Basically, there is no runaway food prices or fuel prices. I mean, gone are the days where you talk about petrol is so expensive in the US today. Is okay. And amongst all these things, he is also now beginning to provide subsidy to those who are impacted by his tariff strategy.
Soybean.
The soy farmers and all that. Say, okay, no worry, we will provide. So he give billions of things. And the latest I heard, he just did a deal with India. So India is going to take up the slack. India will buy. So China don't buy is okay, but now Modi is coming in. So there are a lot of ways that he is able, Trump is smart enough to make all these things happen. And as far as the Democratic bench is concerned, like you say, they don't have that kind of depth and that kind of talent. So how are they really going to look at to perform well in the midterms election? 435 seats, I think, in terms of the Congress, the House, Republican will still hold the House, maybe even increase. Senate seats, 53-47, I think they may even increase it further a bit.
Really?
Maybe I'm looking at probably about 56. So they will gain. But they can't hit 60. 60 is the magic number. But the problem is that 60...
I think it's tough. It's very tough.
It's very difficult. Traditionally,
if you look at the states and all that,
you never had that. And there are too many rhinos within the Republican Party, Republicans in name only, which actually vote against him. This is what happened and contributed to the shutdown. Because some of those people who are the Republicans, but they rather side with the Democrats and, nail it down. So the government is shut down, technically, things like that.
I was talking about mainly Maine and was that Susan Collins and
We got characters like Mitt Romney is not great on Trump. So I think the other guy, Christie guy, and even the Senate chairman, who's that? Mitch McConnell.
Mitch McConnell.
McConnell. He doesn't like Trump. Trump doesn't like him.
Oh, he's ending his term. I think he's finishing his term.
Yeah, so I think so much so that Trump has started talking about, I want to do a limitation on the term. No more
Term limits.
indefinite term for politicians.
Yeah.
I mean, these are all these old...
I think it's a good idea.
So senators who are already about to kick the bucket and they're still working, 90 years old and still want to be a senator.
You got zombie congressmen and senators,
There's a couple of things, right? I mean, we're now in October and midterms are about 13 months from now, right?
1 year from now.
We've got the sitting Fed governor that, but by in all probability, by the end of this year, there could be at least 2 more rate cuts, right? And next year, at least 2 or 3 more, which would normalize interest rates to around about 2.5-3% in America. That will make house loans cheaper.
Yep.
That would reduce the number of repossessions of cars. I think car repos now at an all-time high. Median house prices in America are crazy high, 450,000 or something across America. Median, that's unaffordable for most people. If he can bring interest rates down, that could well tip the scales in his favor and get some of those seats on his side. I mean, that would really cause ease a lot of pain for normal Americans, because right now their bills, on a monthly basis is crazy, the interest costs, and that will of course alleviate the pain for government interest rates as well, government interest costs as well.
Yes.
I don't know how much is private equity buying up the property, or housing property market. I think that should be banned if at all. I don't think they should be in that business.
Blackstone is one of the biggest buyers.
Yeah,
right?
I think that's really, and that's where my problem is with the capital market, and how I think it has become, in all frankness, I think it's gone negative to the real economy. But going back to maybe since we are talking about Congress, government shutdown is still going on.
Hopefully the government will be open by next year, because a lot of spending has been stopped, right? Because the government department is just shut.
Well, the fact
Right.
that actually things are still going well with the government shutdown tells a lot, actually.
There are exceptions to the rule because
There are some offices
essential
still open.
services like defense, security, and all that.
Those continue,
Still continue.
yeah.
Only because there are these 12 appropriations subcommittee
Yeah.
that define this.
Yeah.
And the filibuster rule is crazy. That's the one that is stopping everything. That's where the 60 senator thingy.
I'm only going to say this on this point. When they had the protest of no kings, right? When the Democrat assembled a protest of no kings, right? My rebuttal to that is, oh yeah, your king just can't pass his budget. How ridiculous. And that goes back to your point. The Democrats are not offering anything on the table that actually makes sense from a policy making and how to actually make America great. How are you going to win elections? You can win in a deep state or a Democrat control. They've gerrymandered California.
Yeah.
They've gerrymandered New York. California has if I'm not mistaken, whether it's California or New York, has got 40% Republican, but actually 0 seats Republican.
Washington. Washington State.
Yeah. And then and this Zoran Mandani's election for the New York City mayor, right? To me, I told my American friends, I think let Zoran win. You know why? Because let that be the poster boy of Democrat policies. He's talking about, I don't know whether you saw the interview. I saw this interview. And to the credit of the interviewer, which is very rare on mainstream, which is she pushed back and asked him, how are you going to pay for all these free buses and all that? Twice asked him, because he was, so he finally said, oh, we're going to increase the tax on the richest by 2%. good luck to you. I think Florida is going to be a bit more populated. That's the way I see it. And then you're going to have to tax your own people. You know, it's just, that's what happened to Europe.
Yeah. One thing that Trump has going for him is that he has got this group of very rich donors, financial backers. So much so that there was some issue about saying, who's going to pay our soldiers? And then suddenly he said, well, I got a big donor who has just come forward and told me that if we are short, we can't pay, then I will pay. He didn't name that person. It goes into billions. And a lot of people is beginning to speculate and say that that's probably Elon Musk. So Elon Musk.
Well, I mean, that's not out of the realm of possibility, right?
Yeah. So one of those. I mean, he's got
multiple billionaire
friends
money,
all over, right?
Yeah.
I mean, even in Saudi Arabia when he was at that signing, I mean, you got people like what Adelson, the family, and these are people who funded him at least 100 million in his campaign. I mean, easily he can just ask money from them.
By the way, now you mentioned it, right? Talking about recalibrating. Indonesia has just offered 200 peacekeeping force for Gaza.
For Gaza, there you go.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
I mean, look at how they're doing the recalibration.
Yeah, I'm sure
right?
Pakistan will also be doing the same.
Yeah.
Right? So they've got all kinds of arrangement. Trump seems to be suddenly very close to Pakistan.
So that actually is changing all the power dynamics in the world,
Exactly.
Right? I mean, when you can bring a Southeast Asian, most populous Muslim army that has no quarter in the fight.
Yeah.
Right? My only concern is actually because, I mean, let's put it this way: Hamas is a bloody terrorist organization, and if the longer they are there, not demilitarized, the worse it is for the Palestinian people themselves.
Yep.
So that's the only problem is the logistics, because I think when the peace deal was made, it was basically an opportune. I mean, this is how nimble they are. I think the Israeli strike on Qatar, inside Qatar, was actually the impetus, and so they went in, but they had no peacekeeping plan ready, So I think it's probably going to take something like 3 months at least to organize this.
Okay, so let's draw a line in the sand,
Sure.
and end with some recalibration. So let's assume the Anwar government is listening. Let's assume they're taking notes. Okay, let's assume that they're actually listening to people who are just going to make suggestions as to how this recalibration takes place, right? So I don't know. Let's go around the table. You talked about how our ports might be used for support centers for the U.S. military, the U.S. Navy, right? And I think that makes a lot of sense. I think you make a lot of sense in terms of how Malaysian businesses can relook their position vis-a-vis the U.S., right? I think for me personally, we could look at redefining how the flow of people and trade between ourselves and America, in terms of the visas, in terms of the costs, in terms of going over there for trade and business to smoothen that process. I think that makes a lot of sense, right? I don't know. What do you think? How would you draw a line in the sand?
Let me just say, let me just put it vaguely. If there is a personality or leader in Malaysia who has ambition to be the next Secretary General of United Nations,
that makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Wouldn't it be good to get on the right side of Trump?
Mm-hmm.
Because Malaysia's support, we will. I mean, assuming we have a candidate for SG-UN, our Muslim friends and Muslim OIC countries will definitely support Malaysia. Now, we only need the other half. So if the Western countries can come aboard and say, Malaysia candidate will be very good, and all Trump need to do is say, yes, support Malaysian candidate, and all the allies.
Everybody go along.
Yeah, that's it. And we will have an XG from Malaysia, for the first time.
Yeah.
So that will be definitely a plus for us. Whatever Trump thinks about the United Nations, that's secondary. But the fact that this can happen, right? So this is a possible dividend.
Can I?
Yeah,
sure.
On that, actually, I think that if you really study the 20 point peace plan, right, it is very fair to all parties, right? It basically allows for, it says specifically, it allows for the governance of Gazans themselves, right? It is already supported by the Arab countries. All right? What is the difficulty for us to say we will recognize Israel now? Okay? And join into the peacekeeping and making sure that all parties are protected, the place is demilitarized. We have the experience of demilitarizing the Communist Party, right? Our commandos are first class, you know. So, you know, we can actually bring up not just prestige, but confidence of the Western, American, international community to say that Malaysia is a trusted ally and a fair one at it. All right? Bring in investments here because they are part of, you know, the civilized and forward-looking nations. Period.
And come and talk on the podcast. I mean, right? You need a loudspeaker, right? You need to have a media channel, right?
Yeah.
Come and have a chat. I mean, it's an open invitation.
All right. All right.
I think it's been a good conversation.
I think it has. Yeah.
Yeah, certainly.
Thank you for listening to the world's biggest podcast.
Yes.
With Sam, myself, Jason.
Jason, thanks a lot for coming
you for
along.
coming.
That was
Thank you,
very
Sam.
interesting.
Thank you, John. Yeah.
Thank
Alright.
you.
Thank
See
you.
you guys. Like, subscribe. Let's get the algo going so that we can reach more people. You know, YouTube seems to not like the way we are talking for some reason. Okay,
They will
so
now.
yeah, so we need as much support as we can from all our audience. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you.